Hi, everybody. Robin here at Toadstool Tarot. Happy to see everybody. And first of all, I want to apologize because I've noticed lately, I don't think my eyes are getting worse. My vision is getting worse. But boy, my camera, my screen is so hazy. It always looks like I'm sitting in a fog or something. And maybe that's a good thing for me, not so much for cards that I share with you. I think it's probably more difficult to see the detail in artwork that I share. But, you know, I am one of those warts and all channel hosts that uses a MacBook laptop with a built-in camera and microphone. I don't have any extra equipment. People with channels invest in all kinds of elaborate, expensive bells and whistles to give them, you know, the best look. And I just have what's built in and ready to go. And maybe it's good because you didn't, you know, what I said, warts and all, you don't see warts, you don't see wrinkles. So, I mean, that's kind of nice to have a soft filter, but at the same time, sometimes I wish it was a little bit more definition, more detail, particularly when it comes to sharing card content. But who we got today? We have, let me scroll back. We have first in Marilyn's Tarot Take, a beautiful sunny day there. Plans her Saturdays around me and Simon. That's very flattering. Thank you. Red Wing, hello. SRAI Tarot has to remind me who they are by name because I don't know what the SRAI stands for. And I don't recall, not that I'm going to recall if they tell me. Maybe if I see it enough times, I'll remember who is the person behind that tag. Alder Moon, hello. I just dropped the 5132, but hello, just to make it easier. Will's Tarot Path, hi, Will. Okay, so that's it so far. So while I'm waiting a little bit for people to come in, I did want to share something. One of the things I love about tarot is that even if you've been studying for years and years and using the same deck, you can still find new things in the imagery. And there are certain cards where, you know, I zoom in on some aspect and I just kind of don't pay much attention to the peripherals. And I was watching the other day and it was called to my attention. If any of you are familiar with the channel Tea and Tarot, I think it's called Tea and Tarot, or it might be Robert Farrow Tea and Tarot. Robert Farrow, I believe he's set in Berlin, and he does an interesting. Also, you know, I call myself the card curmudgeon. He's also very curmudgeonly and opinionated, but he's got some interesting content. And he was looking at various first decks based around the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery. But anyway, he pulled up a couple of examples and pointed things out that I hadn't really thought about before. And one of them was this card, the Nine of Pentacles. Now, these cards are full of symbols, and I never paid a whole lot of attention to the bird on her gloved hand, which is a falcon. I believe he called it a hawk. I don't know if there's a difference between falcons and hawks. I know there is a history of something called falconry, and the story behind falconry is that people trained their falcons to hunt for them, and they had some kind of a system set up where the bird was satisfied by being fed by the trainer if they would go kill prey, and then, you know, the trainer was able to take the prey home and, you know, cook it up, eat it. So he sort of mentioned that in the scene, which is sort of the tool that this woman has in terms of measuring or making or increasing her wealth. That it's not just a pet bird on her hand. It's not a parakeet. It's not doesn't have the significance or symbolism of a dove. It's a falcon, which is a hunting bird, a bird of prey. And the nature of this bird is it benefits her by hunting prey that she can consume, but also she is enriched by the fact that she has this bird. Now, I'm not sure how important that is to the card, but I thought it was sort of interesting. It kind of adds a little background layer to how she has come to accumulate so much wealth or material abundance is with the aid of this bird. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It's a symbol that I never pay attention to. I never thought about. I just thought, oh, she's, you know, accumulated wealth and she's showing off in her fancy gown and that she possesses, you know, this exotic creature. But it's not like a peacock resting on her hand or, like I said, a dove or a parakeet or a parrot. It is a bird of prey with a little mask on its head. I can't remember why they wear that mask. I think maybe it's to keep them focused and calm and not agitated or distracted by things going around them, to draw them away so that when they remove the mask, it can be launched into flight to go catch the prey. I'm not sure, but anyway, I just thought, oh, here's one of those symbols I never pay any attention to, and I need to think about. Of course, when we go to the bottom, and he didn't mention that, there's a snail sort of slowly creeping across the bottom. And I haven't thought too much about that other than snails are, you know, traditionally move very slowly. And so the accumulation of wealth, to me, this says that this has happened over a period of time. It's a very slow process. This accumulation, this material good has increased over a lengthy period of time, and it's not something to be rushed. It's something that takes its time to accumulate. Just random thoughts I'm throwing out there, but I do want to encourage everybody as they're going through their RWS decks to look at symbols they hadn't really thought about before. Of course, this kind of made me critical too. It's like, why is there a pair of trees in the background? It's actually, one is in front of a building and the other is in front of mountains. I might need to think on that a little while. Why did she include those? Is it a random thing or is it symbolic of something? She stands between a natural nature setting and one that is more, she may have bought or purchased or financed the building of that structure in the background with her wealth. I don't know. But it's kind of interesting that she's in between the two trees. That's something more to think about. Symbols. That's what the tarot is all about. We just double back to see if anybody else has arrived that I need to say hello to. Tea and Tarot. Will likes Tea and Tarot. Oh, nothing so strange. Hello. Saskia, hello. Okay, I think we're caught up. Okay, so we are in the final week, a little bit of leftover from 2 weeks ago, because last week I think I showed you the Visionary Tarot that I was excited to receive. And I have been for a couple of months, maybe several months, doing my tarot clear out. And big announcement next week. Oh, I didn't put it in the banners. I need to create a banner here. Next week, I will be, provided everything goes okay and there's nothing else that comes up that I want to discuss, I will be doing my big clear out reveal or review. I'm going to show you quickly all the decks that I determined to let go through the various weeks of revisiting each shelf and tray in my tarot collection. So if you are interested in any of those decks, when I show them next time, I will, let's see, why is this not showing? What did I do wrong here? Oh, add banner. Wait. Oh, there's, okay. This is my email address. It's also on my channel page information. And so when decks come up, if any decks come up that interest you, you can send me a message by email to this address. I will have these decks probably for a couple weeks. Beyond that, if you're looking at this video far in the future, it's not likely that these decks are around anymore. So the ones I show you next week, you have an option to acquire. And I'm going to say you have a better option to acquire them if we can come to terms and you live in the USA. I know a lot of people live outside of the country, and that presents some difficulties for me because I don't really know how to calculate the postage. In the US, they have a, what's it called? It's a flat rate fee for a certain kind of box. And so I know from recently using that I think it's $12.76 that it costs me to mail something in those boxes. But that's only within the United States. So I can calculate what I want to charge for a deck and add that on top. But I know the figure is higher going to Europe and other parts of the world. I just don't know what it is. And I don't know that I'm going to know what it is until it's already packed and ready to mail and I'm handing it over the counter and they're telling me that. So I don't really know how I'm going to go about letting interested parties know what I'm charging for a deck, because the shipping is something I'm not clear on when I ask for a price on the deck. So I don't know. I'm going to have to work that out. But anyway, all that can be sorted out through the email if you contact me. So we might as well get to what was left and what hasn't been covered. The remainder of my clear out, which is in this blue Liquiteria bag that somebody passed along, left something for me in this bag. It's a nice little bag. And these are mostly my tarots in tins. And they're decks that a lot of them I've modified, which isn't great. And ones I don't care that much about. But I'm not sure that any of these are really saleable because they have been modified. I don't think too many people want to buy decks that have been modded by somebody else, unless they're, very specifically looking for that kind of modification. The first one in here in a dusty box is the Radiant Rider-Waite Tarot, which actually this box is empty because I did modify this, and I may have showed it to you. I carry it in my shoulder bag to the cafe because I was able to trim the white borders off this and make it a very tiny portable RWS deck that was very easy to carry all the time. And I have favorite decks in my cafe shoulder bag, but I routinely like to carry an RWS to compare to those that have the same title or archetype, but not the same imagery, because RWS is, pretty much of a standard. And if I'm doing readings for strangers, which doesn't happen too often, they kind of like to see the RWS imagery to help them visualize things better. So I like to have an RWS deck. And actually, my favorite, I think, RWS in a tin is the Centennial. But the Centennial, which I think you'll see in a little bit, yes, I have a Smith-Waite Centennial in a tin here that I trimmed the borders off, which didn't fare so well. So the Radiant worked out really well. The images are complete on the image side. On the back side, it's like stars on a blue background, and the white border is missing. It looks perfect. So that one actually trimmed quite successfully. So I don't know why I'm showing you that, because I'm not getting rid of that. It's not going anywhere. I don't necessarily need the tin anymore, but there you have it. I'm going to show you the Smith-Waite. This is the one that I trimmed, and I wouldn't say it's particularly a successful trim. I trimmed the white borders off, and this is what the backs look like. You can see the signatures come a little bit close to the edge. And on the fronts, some of the titles, and it's okay. It's a kind of like a mini borderless deck. But some of the titles, I don't know if I can get to one that's like almost cropped. Well, here's one a little bit. The Hierophant. The T is almost chopped off when I rounded the corner on the Hierophant. So, and the top too, look, the V is awful close to the edge. So I wouldn't say this was a particularly successful deck for trimming because of the way the image was laid out near the border. Yeah, you can see it's not real comfortable the way the titles came out here. And now I could have cut those off, but then the back would be uneven. So anyway, I don't need to keep this. I replaced it with another tarot in a tin. I also had the full-size Smith-Waite Centennial Edition. But the thing with that was I noticed that the cardstock had a kind of a sharp edge on it that the one in the tin didn't. The one in the tin felt very smooth around the edges. And whatever industrial pressing machine that cut out the cards on the regular size one was used, the edges are slightly raised and sharp feeling. I don't know if you know what I mean. But yeah, in the cutting process, I guess the nature of the machine kind of like slightly raised and forced the edge where it cut it to be a little bit sharp. I don't know if that would like smooth out over time, but anyway, I like the one in the tin better. So it's a great deck, highly recommended. The only issue with it, not thrilled about the back design, and I don't like the copyright on it, but otherwise I love the coloring of this deck, and I do recommend it. So I don't know that anybody's going to want this trimmed version, but that can go. Let's see, what else have I got here? Oh, the Tarot de Maria Celia. When I first got this, I didn't like the borders on this. They were kind of I thought they were sort of a yellowed, yes. Can't remember, was it white or yellowed? Looks like I've got a couple spare cards here. So I guess it was yellowed, and for some reason I didn't like the way that looked with the almost batik-like stamping of the back design. So I decided to trim them, and I sort of like the backs better without the border, but the front again feels a little bit cramped. I don't know. They feel almost like they need a border a little bit. Like some decks are better borderless and some work better with them. And here I left the tops and the bottoms on, but yeah, it's just a little too close, the cropping, I think, for me to be completely happy with it. Almost needs a little extra floating space around it. So I didn't feel like this was particularly a good or a successful mod. And so I ended up rebuying it and leaving it alone. And it's probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Marseille style deck. I love the coloring in it. So this again was an unsuccessful mod, and I can let this go. Not that anybody's going to want this. Next I have the Aquarian Tarot. The Aquarian Tarot, modded again. This seems to be a box full of mods. I have never liked this blue back in the Aquarian Tarot. I don't understand what the image is. It doesn't feel like it relates to the images on the cards or the color. I don't think this blue is used anywhere in the deck. So I don't think it was a particularly wise choice for the creator. But I did trim it off, and I think I like it better without the white border. But again, when it comes to the images on the cards, they don't work so well without the borders. They're cropped weird again. So yeah, I don't think this worked so well. I don't know how many of you mod your decks or trim them. I never edged them. I think I edged a deck once, and it sort of turned out okay, but edging's not really something that matters to me that much. I don't take into account the edge of a deck. Actually, some decks that have come with metallic edging, I have filed those off. I don't like metallics mixed with paper. It's like wood or paper and metal don't go together aesthetically in my head. And so I don't like it when there's like purple or blue or green gilding or whatever. If it's a matte edging on a card deck, I like it. It's fine. But if it's this glossy, shiny, metallic edging, it feels aesthetically ill-suited to me, and I often file them off. Or at this point, sometimes that'll be the deal breaker as to whether I buy a deck or not. I do have a couple of decks that have gilding on them that actually I'm okay with. One of them is Cat Black, and it's because the images look like images you'd see in classical masterpieces or paintings in art museums that generally are framed in gold frames, and somehow aesthetically it works for me. But yeah, I'm not big on edging, metallic edging. Maria Celia Tarot is out of print. Hang on to it. Well, I have the one in the tin. Oh, I have the one in the tin intact, and I love it. I have this one trimmed and I don't love it. So that one I'm going to let go, but I don't know that anybody's going to want a trimmed version of it. It just went out of print, so shops still have it, but when it's depleted, value will go up. I don't know that the value will go up much on a trimmed version, though. Anyway, this is another one, the Aquarian. And I do like this deck, but I hated the back so much that it was kind of a deal breaker for me. I rebought this when they came out with, I think, a commemorative or anniversary edition or something in a box. I think maybe it switched companies and it was released and had a new big guidebook and everything. It's funny, though, because it's in a large box, I tend not to reach for it so much. And I still have the same issue with the backs that I don't care for, but I have it anyway. It's a classic, and I have it. I'll keep it. But this trimmed version, I don't need to keep. And in the end, I may end up just tossing these that are in the tin, these bags, in this bag, because I don't know that people are going to want trimmed versions. Next one is the Barbara Walker. No, this I trimmed for a different reason. I picked this up on a whim because I liked the illustration on the box. And a lot of the tarots in a tin I was seeing, I didn't particularly care for the looks of. But this one, I thought, oh, I don't know what that deck looks like, but if it looks like that box image, I think I'm gonna like it. So this one has a border on it, and it also had labels and keywords, and I didn't like the keywords at the time, so I trimmed them off. So I just kept the labels at the bottom, took the borders and the top keywords off so I could use it. Of course, that kind of upset the symmetry of the back because there's a bigger border on the bottom than the top, but I don't really do reversals, so it doesn't matter too much. But I haven't really warmed to this deck. I mean, the imagery is quite unusual, and some of the images are a little severe and off-putting. So I don't know. I've been kind of debating, should I rebuy this in a tin and leave it alone, or do I care enough about it to even do that? And I think I don't really care enough about it. So again, a kind of a botched trim, or not botched really, but it's just like a modded one without the keywords. Again, you know, who wants to buy stuff that's already been kind of messed with? So anyway, that's going in one way or another. I have in here, well, no, I'll save that for last. So I have the inversion tarot. I don't know if you know this one. I was intrigued by this. And when I got it, I thought, oh, that's really interesting. It's a black and white deck. It's actually white on black. I kind of like the backs. Very simple. It's sort of a Marseille or a Pip deck. But when I saw it, I thought, oh, you know, I could color this and add some interest to the white images on the black. But just to test it out, I took one of the Pip cards, I think it was one of the courts, and used like magic marker colors. And they turned out streaky. The color didn't apply in a way that I liked. And I actually didn't end up keeping the ones I did. What I ended up doing is turning this into a majors only deck. I tossed the pips entirely. So I only kept the majors and I left them intact. So this is this is kind of an oddball majors deck in kind of a negative or a reversal. I don't know whether to keep this or let it go. And again, it's like, who's going to want just a majors only of this deck? It's cheap enough if it's still in print to buy. And if you don't like the pips, you can toss them and make your own majors only. But I don't know. I do kind of like the imagery. Maybe I'll hang on to it. I mean, there's certain majors only that I tend to use more than others, like my own design. So I don't reach for this so much. Let me just catch up with you here. Golden so wanted to love the Barbara Walker, but just don't like the art. I'm kind of feeling the same. I like the art on the box, but then the ones inside, it almost feels like too severe or violent or too freaky. I don't know. I don't warm to this deck, Barbara Walker, but I do find her take on things interesting. You know. Now we're down to the last two. Okay. This one, I don't know where the box is. I didn't trim it. It was a universal weight in a pocket-sized version. And this is the back. And these are the fronts. And I do like this deck. This was the one that was done in colored pencil by Mary Hanson Roberts, I believe. But this is like the mini version. And it's sort of a tarot in a tin size. It didn't come in a tin, though. It came in a tuck box. And I don't remember where I have the tuck box, but I don't know whether to keep this or not, because I think I also have a full-sized version of this, which I also don't have a tuck box for. This has a different back, different star design on the back, but the cards are a little bit more accessible, being, you know, real tarot or regulation's not the right word. Tarot size that we're used to, standard. This a soft feel to the deck, to a deck. I think this might have been actually the first tarot that I bought when I decided to try tarot again after so many years, because I liked the soft feel of it. It felt more approachable than some of the hard edge, black outlined images in, you know, the standard yellow box or even the Centennial edition. So this is the first one I got. It was softer, but I only used it for a little while. And then I think I got the Radiant, and then I got the Centennial, and ultimately I'm the most happy with the Centennial edition. But I mean, this has its place. If you want warmth and softness and comfort, there's something to be said for this deck. The images do have a softness and a kind of comfort to them. I think, not sure where, I have an extra card in here from somewhere. I don't know if this was a standard one that had the blue back, but I kept this because there's a card with bio info about Pixie and a picture of her. So I just kind of kept that from the other version, which I think must have been a yellow box. This has the little white book in it. I also have some personal notes I made here. I'm not sure. Oh, having to deal with the standard spread. What's it called? Oh my God. You know what I mean. Well, I had some key notes I wrote down and typed out about numbers and elements and chords. What am I? It's Celtic. The Celtic cross is what I'm trying to say. I wrote some notes down. I don't know why I'm hanging on to these, but so where are we at? Oh, 136. So I mean that completes my entire collection as of today, and all of my decks have walkthroughs on my channel. Some of the walkthroughs on my channel, I no longer have the decks. I had already gifted them or sold them, parted with them. But again, next week, I'm going to go through the bag of all the decks that I decided to let go. And I haven't done a count, but I'm sure there must be at least 20 or 30 decks in there that I'm letting go. So if you might be interested in those, I don't want to make you rewatch all of my tarot clear out videos, but maybe along the way there was one you spotted and you thought, oh, I wouldn't mind having that, and made a note of it. You'll see me next week show them all, and I likely won't show cards from each of the deck because there's so many. I'll just tell you or show you the box or the cover of each deck, and then you can decide if it's something that you want or not. You can help me out by giving it a new home. So that's kind of what my plans are there. And that kind of wraps up my tarot clear out. Now I don't know what I'm going to do for content after this because I don't accumulate enough decks for walkthroughs. So I'm going to have to think about some inventive content I can come up with. Otherwise, I may just be doing readings, live readings, which a lot of channels do. If anybody has any questions today, since we still have a little time, let me know. Otherwise, I will cut this episode short and leave you all until next time, next week. Just remember to bring your pens and papers next time, and be ready to write down my email address if there is a deck that you are interested in. And it's not going to be like an auction or anything, but it likely will be the first person to express interest in a deck is most likely to get that deck. Maybe a little bit of a battle royale if I have an American purchaser versus a foreign one, but we shall see. We shall see. I have a feeling that I'm not going to do well with this. That that there aren't a lot of decks in there that people particularly want. But we'll see. So if I have no questions, and I don't see any, I will just say thank you for joining me this week, this final week of my tarot clear out. I have been successful to the extent I have made some shelf space for my overflow. Not enough. I think I'm going to have to resort to clearing some of the shelves I have of compact discs and DVDs or books so that I can put tarot decks on those shelves. But that's a whole other thing. DVD and CD clear out. So anyway, I guess I will let you go. It's a chilly day again here in New York. And oh, I forgot to wish everybody happy Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day. I hope you all have plans or do something fun or stuff yourself with chocolates. And I will see you next week. And I'm curious to see which decks have appealed to which collectors of you. See you next time. Thanks. Bye.